Yeah.
Hey, speaking of high expectations, our next guest that we got joining us on the stage, Clinton Portis, was obviously a high draft pick coming out of the University of Miami. Had a great career in the NFL. Clinton Portis, welcome to the stage, baby.
My
We're gonna
God.
have to swap mics, play a little musical chairs. And by the way, while Clint gets set up, Clint and Ty getting set up, this amazing setup out here in the Super Bowl. Shout out to FanDuel, our sponsor all year long, FanDuel Sportsbook, the best sports book in the world, man. Clint, welcome to the stage.
Appreciate it, man. What's going on?
Man, how you feeling, man?
Man, I feel good, man.
Yeah, man, all smiles up here, man. We talked about it, man. We out here in Super Bowl. Great atmosphere. Again, we D-Buck talked about it. Two great teams, man. Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, man. As a former player, man, what are you most excited about this game on Sunday?
I'm really excited about the D-line, O-line matchup. I think it goes overlooked in football. Everybody look at the skill positions and the big names, the quarterbacks. I think it comes down to the D-line, O-line. And Kansas City got a great D-line. Philly got a great D-line.
Yep.
I just think Philly D-line is better than Kansas City's O-line. So I think that's where the matchup comes in with the way they rotate, how many guys they can get to the quarterback, and they can run Patrick Mahomes down.
Yeah.
That's where the advantage is going to be, how they keep him contained, how they run him down, keep him from extending the plays
that's tough.
compared to Kansas City not being able to stop Jalen Hurts from extending plays.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the difference is going to come in this game.
Yeah, now Miles Sanders, he's had his best year as a pro back with that 2.6 on too. Best year as a pro back there with Jalen Hurts. Obviously, Jalen Hurts in that offensive line, huge part of the run game. But you hit the ground running coming into the league. 1,500, I think, out the gate, back-to-back years, something crazy like that. What was the biggest difference coming from the college game to the pro game when it comes to running the ball?
For me, it was just one of those. I had never been in the pros, so I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
It was just one of those. I was running with a chip on my shoulder early on just because I was a second-round draft pick. So I was annoyed. Most people would be, like, ecstatic to be a second-round draft pick. I'm like, man, I should have been the third pick in the draft, So I felt like I had been slighted 48 picks. I was the 51st pick. And, I told all the teams, like, man, I need to go number 3, And a lot of them laughed at me. So it was one of those. It just amped me up. And then I had great teammates. You look at Shannon Sharp, Rod Smith, Ed McCaffrey, Brian Greasy, those guys, TD, Mike Anderson, those guys taught me how to be a professional, So for me, running was the easy part. That was like, this is my moment to have fun, like this is my moment. So for me, the adjustment was more understanding the business, like being a professional. One of my best games, I was about to be really unprofessional, which was we were getting ready to play the Arizona Cardinals, which is crazy. And we had rookie night on Friday. On Sunday, I was out of it, and I'm going to tell the coach, hey, man, I can't do this. Shannon Sharp stopped me. Like, man, them people don't care about what you did last night
at all.
Like, you gotta perform. And instead of me going to tell coach, like, coach, I can't play because I'm hungover, it was one of those, I had to become a professional, and it was probably one of my best games of my career.
Man, talk about that. Me and D-Buck, we talk about it all the time as far as, having a great team, having that foundation, having leaders in that locker room. And you spoke on it. You said some phenomenal names that, has a gold jacket, Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis. Just talk about, walking in that locker room, man, and a young CP and how you was able to matriculate in that locker room, seeing all these great players.
Man, I saw them and I felt like I fit in. Like, this is, I'm you know? So it wasn't one of those, like, you were struck, like, oh, man, like a deer in headlights. It was one of those, like, man, I'm going to do what you do. You know, like, TD, I know what you brought to the game, but I don't see you. It wasn't a disrespect. It was one of those, I want to be as good or better than you were. So, it was a chip. It was a friendly competition to be able to see those guys, to be able to have those guys. And they were a fun locker room. You add Tick, you add some of the personalities that were in our locker room. It was a fun locker room. It was a fun environment. And that's what we all miss when we walk away from the game, is that environment, that conversation, that communication that we have, that network. and all of a sudden it's been exposed to TV, and you try to get the fan to understand what goes on in the locker room. You see a lot of people get in trouble behind it, but when that was our sacred ground, it was totally different. That's what guys miss when they walk out. But being that cameras are everywhere and always rolling, it's like it changes everything. You know?
Yeah, man. So we talked about opening the show, the trades in the NBA, and obviously great players on the move in the trade. You were obviously a great player. Like I said, hit the ground running, got traded after your second year. What was that like? And for the people that don't know, what's it like when you get that call and you just got to shiv it up, move everything, especially after starting the way you started?
I feel like I got traded by mistake, and that's what people don't understand. My trade was like, I'm at Pro Bowl representing the Denver Broncos, do an interview with Adam Schefter, and we're sent to the bar. It was Peyton Manning, Joey Porter, Donovan McNabb, myself. It was one more person out. And we're sitting to the bar at Pro Bowl, and it's like breaking news, and on ESPN, and we're all like, "Man, who got in trouble?" We sitting in Hawaii at the bar drinking Mai Tais, like, "Man, who got in trouble in the NFL?"
Mai Tais in Hawaii.
Man, we looking around like, "Who got in trouble in the NFL? Who got in trouble?" And the breaking news was Clint Portis request trade. And everybody looked at me just like you all looked at me. I said, "Shit, I didn't request no trade. Like, who is Clint Portis? I know I didn't request a trade."
That's crazy.
That was at Pro Bowl, kind of the end of February. And next thing you know, by March, I was gone.
Yeah.
Like, I was gone. I was totally traded out of nowhere. It wasn't like I had an issue in Denver, or I didn't like Denver. I love Denver. I love the system and all. But then when the opportunity came about to be traded, it was only one place I would go, and that was DC. They didn't have a first-round pick, so I didn't feel like they skipped over me.
Yeah.
So when that opportunity came, Coach Gibbs had just been announced as a coach. I'm like, man, I get to go back to the East Coast.
Yeah.
I'm going to Chocolate City. Like, man, I'm coming. Like, I'm ready. And it was like I was 22, and I was 22, and it's like you giving the CEO job. Like, here's this company. I need you to run it. So for me, it was just one of those opportunities. Like, man, I'm ready for this challenge, and I accept this challenge.
I got one question for you, right? So we here, NAZ, right? Tonight, they'll be announcing the class of 2023 Hall of Fame, right? Clint Portis, 9,923 rushing yards, 75 touchdowns, 75 touchdowns,
Toting that thing.
2002 AP Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time Pro Bowl. Does Clint Portis deserve to be in the Hall?
Man. Hands down. I think when you look at this, is what people don't realize. It's like your impact at the game. Like you just said, Miles Sanders looked good in 2-6.
Yeah.
Before me, who was 2-6? If you think of a back, or if you think of someone that's 2-6, what was my impact on the game? When you listen to a Saquon Barkley, when you listen to those guys, and they say, man, you know what? I grew up watching Clint Portis.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to be like Clint Portis. For me, it was like I wanted to be Barry Sanders once I got my opportunity of playing running back, or I admired Bo Jackson, So their impact, what their impact was for me in the game, is like my impact on the guys that play the game now. When you see 2-6, 28 was, everybody was Marshall Faulk, Fred Taylor. Like, 28 was a number. All of a sudden, I come along with this 2-6, and everybody and their mama wearing 26. So my impact on the game, people look at it like the wins and losses. When you see those guys that get inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's numerous guys from teams. Like, this entire team was good. When you look at the Troy Aikman, the Emmitt Smith, the Michael Irvin, those guys prime, having all of these good players on one team. For me, I just look at the impact of what I brought to an organization. But you can't name my second receiver. You can't name someone outside of Santana Moss. You can't name another one of my offensive linemen besides Chris Samuel. So it's one of those situations where, as much as I gave to the game, then people will say, oh man, you were great running the ball, but you're probably the best blocking back of all time. They have no consideration for a blocking back. No one takes into consideration, shit, I was Tony Richardson and Priest Holmes, or I was LaDainian, and like, nobody takes that into consideration. So for me, it's like, I wish I wouldn't have blocked it down.
Heavy to rock.
For all the blocks that I taken, if I would prefer to take 3,000 more yards than to have those blocks to knock anybody out to prove that I was tougher. So in my eyes, for the people around me, for my neighborhood, for the community, for the people that know me, I think my impact of the game. It wasn't a defensive coordinator. I guarantee you it's never been a game that I was in that the DC was like, we don't have to worry about 26.
For sure, a game record, man. And speaking of a game record, once again, this beautiful set, this amazing, everything set up. Shout out to FanDuel, the sponsor, the greatest sports book in America.